Hello, I'm John Coleman from ApocatastasisInstittue, an Institute for the Humanities and Alternative College and High School here on New Milford, Connecticut, USA. The purpose of this broadcast is to enjoy Alfred Tennyson's poem, St. Agnes Eve. A few things briefly are worth bringing up about this poem, particularly the name Agnes. Gives layers of meaning to this piece. But before you get in any of that, just one note. This poem finds its way into Apocastasis's project. This is our malleable curricula in the humanities covering all of human history and literature over a 3-year period. And there are various ways you may commit yourself to this study. Independent study by simply downloading the different resources here, including PDF files of our daily readings. And deeper commitments, whether that's our monthly seminars privately here at the Institute, our regular broadcasts on the weekly sections of the project, and indeed full-time enrollment, literally full-time studying over 3 years. This saga of human history, all of which is woven in with copious amounts of poetry consistently from start to finish. So there's no fear of you there with your literature intake. So that's the project. And a lot of that, especially the core texts, are free to download. More coming online soon. Now, this is St. Agnes Eve. First things first, this is not John Keats's poem of the same name. A little bit earlier production of a very different pallor. An excellent poem, excellent Romantic era poem, Gothic poem. That's a different poem, St. Agnes Eve by John Keats. This is Alfred Lord Tennyson. And if Keats's titular poem dealt with literally amorous love in a castle and a Lothario, as they used to say, and a Chad, as we say nowadays, sweeping a young maiden off her feet, as they've been known to be from time to time, and ferrying her out the door of the castle before anyone could notice. Make a good modern film as soon as anything. If Keats's St. Agnes Eve is of human love, this St. Agnes Eve is concerning divine love, particularly that of a nun for God. So that's the first thing to keep in mind there. The second, indeed, is that the name Agnes, which refers to a 3rd century Christian saint, means lamb. So just like Maria in the Latin translation of Miriam's name, Jesus' mother, has all sorts of plays on words in Latin hymnody, and I think Greek hymnody. Likewise, Agnes has enjoyed or suffered a similar play on words. So her name means lamb, and therefore in Christian iconography, she will always be associated with lambs. Now, this is not altogether disagreeable. She was a young virgin, and like many of that category of hagiography, decided to give her energies of all sorts to Christ, to vow her virginity in the traditional phraseology to God. And usually in these virgin stories, there's some Chad that comes along and is smitten by the Christian saint, and she goes to her death declaring her love for Christ. This is rather common if you know that genre of hagiography, the subgenre, so to speak. And beautiful it is, and very poetical. The office antiphons and hymns for St. Agnes are very ancient, very poetic, some of which made by St. Damasus, believe it or not. One final point about this play on words of Agnes. The palliums are the name of this type of cloth necklace, which bishops of the Catholic Church, East and West, wear. They are made of wool, and the wool, as it's been known to, comes from lambs. On the day of St. Agnes, the 21st of January, the Pope in Rome blesses at least some of the lambs that the wool will go towards, or from whom the wool will go towards the palliums for. So here we have this image. There's all sorts of cute little lambs and elderly old popes petting on them on the head. And it turns out that there's a convent of nuns just outside of Rome, and their entire charism, so to speak, their entire ministry is to raise the lambs and weave the palliums. That's all they do besides praying. That's their focus. They've cornered the market on palliums. All right. With all that jabber being seen to, Alfred Lord Tennyson's St. Agnes Eve. Deep on the convent roof the snows are sparkling to the moon. My breath to heaven like vapor goes. May my soul follow soon. The shadow of the convent towers slant down the snowy sward, still creeping with the creeping hours that lead me to my lard. Make thou my spirit pure and clear, as are the frosty skies, or this first snowdrop of the year that in my bosom lies. As these white robes are soiled and dark to yonder shining ground, as this pale taper's earthly spark to yonder argent round, so shows my soul before the Lamb, my spirit before thee. So in mine earthly house I am, to that I hope to be. Break up the heavens, O Lord, and far, through all yon starlit keen. Draw me, thy bride, a glittering star, in raiment white and clean. He lifts me to the golden door, the flashes come and go, all heaven bursts her starry floors, and strows her lights below, and deepens on and up the gates, roll back and far within. For me the heavenly bridegroom waits, to make me pure of sin. The Sabbaths of eternity, when Sabbath deep and wide, a light upon the shining sea, the bridegroom with his bride. Tu autem nomine miserere nobis, Deo gratias. Thus is Alfred Tennyson's poem, St. Agnes Eve. Notice the play on words with lambs, garments, white, as in white wool. The virginity of the historical St. Agnes and the virginity of the Catholic nun. And also, speaking of lambs and nature and cycles, also the cold of the year, which is interesting because in Keats's poem of the same name, that is a major motif. And that in the heavily superstitioned poem of Keats, allegedly the day of St. Agnes is the coldest, or rather for Keats, the eve of St. Agnes is the coldest night of the year. And sure enough, here in Connecticut, I'd take him up on that. Well, anyway, there you go. There's Alfred Tennyson for you. And here's the project for you. And thank you for supporting us on Substack, PayPal, Zelle, and all those things. We need your material contributions as we move towards the campus, please God. With that being said, get to reading your Tennyson and your breviary for St. Agnes poetry, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.